3 under 3. That's almost 3 under 2.
Babe, do you know what I mean? I remember being like, how am I going to do this? It was like I was on my own and it was so in the media. So I think that was really hard for me. Everything was so public and Santi was the only general thing that I cared about and wanted to protect. And I just wanted to stay like silent throughout it. Remember, I hadn't seen him for 3 weeks because he was, I don't know what they was feeding him at England camp. Oh, very good vitamins by the looks of it.
Came back with super sperm.
Must have done. Must have. And then I was pregnant.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. Today's guest is an actress, a presenter. She appeared on Love Island many moons ago. She also has her own podcast hosted with her dad called Live and Let Dyers. An amazing title. She's the mum of 3. It's Danny Dyer.
Hello.
You're right.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I always practice my intro. Just the only bit that I get wound up about. And I was saying Dyer like I was your dad. Yeah. Like I was pretending to be Danny Dyer, male Danny Dyer. No, stop it.
That is so, do that again.
It's not, Danny. It's awful. It's awful. And then I really go, oh, God, this is going to go terribly.
Oh, my God. No, that was brilliant. And I like the way how you said Dyer.
I'm from Essex, so, you know, we're not that far away from each other.
We're not.
Yeah. What I love is the fact that you and your dad, you've got this podcast.
Yeah.
And it must give you that little bit of time that's yours as well. Do you know what I mean? It's that time where no other risk or want or need can get to you.
Yeah.
You're in that studio for that period of time.
Yeah, and it's like your safe place, ain't it? It's like your little bubble. You can talk about anything you want to talk about. Obviously, with my dad, we have to cut a lot out. It is so heavily edited, but it's nice that we've got that.
Do you just sit and listen and go, that's not making it?
Yeah, that's not making it. And like, so I listen, like, so when before the podcast is like goes out there, obviously it goes through editors, and I'm like, can I listen to it after the editors? Because I'm like, I'll write things down.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but do you feel like you see things differently as well? Like knowing how things might be perceived and also what lines might be taken and run away with?
Absolutely, because obviously we say things very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, and you know each other so well.
We know each other so well, but it can come across in a completely different way. So you've always just got to be that bit careful. So it's crazy, that's how my brain goes now. And I'm like, take that out. And then they go, oh, we didn't notice that line. I'm like, well, I did. So I should be an editor, basically.
And if you could tell me what the podcast is about, or the listeners what the podcast is about, how would you describe it?
So it's basically us having our weekly catch-ups. Then we discuss conspiracy theories, because my dad loves conspiracy theories. And then we like sort of living on the word of tumble Dyer. It's like live and let Dyer, tumble Dyer. So it turns out like weekly topics for people that want us to discuss things, and we discuss it really. It can be anything. It's like relationships, school, because obviously we did the podcast before and people still wanted that element of, you know, sorting problems out. So we kept a little bit of that, but we also just have our weekly catch-ups and talk about what we've been up to that week.
Which is so nice when you're so busy to have that time that's like just set aside for you two.
Yeah. And sometimes we have weeks where like we've really seen each other a lot, and you know, I'll go around there a lot with the kids and we discuss that, and then there's weeks where we've both been doing our other things. So it's really nice that like you said, we've got that time to just share and chat really, and he does make me laugh. It's nice we've got that bond. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Do you feel like it's different now that you've got kids as well?
Yeah.
Just even carving that time out, knowing how like you're his baby.
Yeah.
So to be able to carve that time out and to have those chats.
Yeah, and even like for my mum, I have this completely different respect for my mum. Like I feel so bad on how I may have treated her as a teenager, because you just appreciate them in such a different way, and you need them so much more. And I'm like, you sort of become a teenager again with your mum, because you're like, oh mum, can I go out tonight, or can you have the kids? Or you become that again. But yeah, I have a different like level of respect for them now.
I mean, you talk about teenage years, but is that also because your sister's a teenager now?
Oh,
and you've seen what your mum and dad have gone through.
Yes. To be fair, she is pretty good. But like I said it to you earlier, we call her the passenger princess. Like, you know, she wants to be drove around, and you know, she's having a good time. And I'm like, good on you. You know, you're 17. You know, you got your whole life to worry, and you just enjoy.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I think you have to allow younger siblings and your kids to make their own mistakes. You can't be there kind of going, no, you can't do this, you can't do that in the same way. Or
absolutely. I think for her as well, especially because she's got me, and I feel like as a family we're all very, very open, and we tell each other like everything. Yeah. And I always wanted that for my sister, to be able to ring me, and there's no judgment or anything like that. You know, it's nice. I look at her, I'm like, oh my God, you've got like the best years coming. Like she's 18 next year. Like it's fun. Them years are hard, but they're also fun, I think.
Also, it must feel like, because you were saying earlier about the age gap.
Yeah.
At the moment, it feels like there's an age gap, but she's about to become an adult. And actually, as you get older, that isn't going to feel like an age gap at all.
And I feel like the teenagers now have aged a lot quicker than like what we did. Like they know pretty much everything.
They're not just about going out and getting drunk. They're actually a bit more wise.
Well, I was over the field, do you know what I mean? Like, they're not doing that now. They're in nice restaurants and things like that. So, it's really nice that we've got each other. And, there was that aspect where the age gap really felt like an age gap because we didn't have nothing in common. Whereas now we have loads in common and she always makes me feel like I'm very old. I'm like, son, I'm only 28. But at 17, you do look at a 28-year-old and you're like, God, you're old.
Yeah. Basically middle-aged.
Middle-aged, basically, hitting 30. So,
What was your childhood like?
It was, it was lovely.
Yeah.
Like, I think my parents were so young.
Yeah.
You know
How
what
old were they when they had you?
19.
Wow.
Yeah, so they was kids themselves, really, when I think
And they
about
met
it.
really, really young, didn't they?
Yeah, they were 14. Well, 13 or 14.
Yeah.
They was like together at 14. So, I think for them it was a massive shock, like getting pregnant, at 19 and stuff. But I can look at my childhood and think it was really special. And I was on my own with them a lot for like 11 years, really. So I was sort of the only child. But I had some great holidays with like my mum. Like my dad, it was very rocky for them at the beginning of us, but I can only look back and be like, oh, do you know what, it was lovely. Like my nan and bruv, I call my granddad bruv.
Do you?
Yeah, it's a very, very strange story. But when I was younger, I wanted a brother.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll be your brother. So we still do. Like we'd buy each other brother and sister cards. I used to go to kids' parties and be like, I need to take a party bag for my brother. And they'd look at my mum and be like, she ain't got a brother. And they was like, oh no. I used to buy him brother presents.
So I'm actually treating him like he is your brother.
No, everyone calls him bruv. No one calls him granddad. Like my friends go, you're going around your nan and bruvs. Like when I met Jarrod, I was like, oh, this is bruv. I think it'd be an insult now if I called him bruv, like granddad.
Do you think that also part of that was him kind of going, I'm not ready to be called granddad?
Granddad, yeah.
Just call me bruv. That made me younger.
He's bruv. Like everyone calls him bruv in the family, friends. He's not granddad.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time with them as well because obviously my mum was working, my dad was.
Yeah.
I remember my Friday nights we used to get a large doner between three of us. And eat a doner kebab on a Friday. So I
love little memories like that.
Yeah, I used to love that. Like that, and I love the fact that my kids, like when they see my mum, like they get so excited, and you have such a different bond with your nan.
Yeah, you do.
I love my nan.
Yeah,
I really do.
You talked about your mum and dad having like a rocky patch around that.
Yeah.
Do you reckon having kids now makes you look at that differently?
Yeah, absolutely. I think because they was both so young as well.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like I felt young at 24.
Yeah.
So then being like 19 and then kind of having a baby, he's trying to do his career and, trying to guide
and also
all
at
that.
a very different stage in life.
So different
you were
stage
24,
in life.
but you were financially secure. They weren't.
They wasn't. Like I remember for him, he did human traffic and my mum was still working and stuff, and then obviously he's got a film, like this is great, and he come home like, and he was like, oh, she was like, the money, and he was like, oh no, I've spent it all. So it was like that thing of like they were so young and they were trying to guide it, but they've always, I say about my mum and dad, whatever they've gone through, they love each other so much.
Yeah.
Like, when you just see that like love between one another, and I could never see them without each other.
And when you were younger and you were looking ahead to your future, did you picture yourself having a family? Obviously, love must have been a massive part first for going into Love Island.
With Love Island, it was like more of an experience. And it was more like when it sort of come about, I remember my mum being like, go on, Dan, like, why not? Why don't you want to go in there? Go and have a good summer. Like, you're 21, like, go and have a good time. So I think it was the aspect of I might meet someone, I might not meet someone, but it was just more about, because I'd previously watched the year before Love Island, but I can't remember what series we were, but it was still kind of relatively new. Yeah. And I was like, oh, why not? And then obviously I met Jack. Yeah. But at the beginning, you're very much like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do with you. Like, oh, like it's like really scary. But then you have this different kind of love in Love Island. Like you have these, and you're
also,
like infatuated.
You're in the bubble. That is your main focus. You've not got the rest of life, the complications and
nothing
stuff going
else.
on.
Because you go from like a 0 to 100, like, so quickly. Like you're obsessed with this person. Like you can't leave this person aside. Like it's great. Do you know what I mean? Like while you're in there and you're having a great time, and then obviously when you come out, it's like, oh,
the
okay,
reality
this
of how
is
that
reality.
person fits into your life and who you actually are.
Yeah, but
you
I
know.
feel like I was so lucky with my experience because
Yeah.
I had a great summer. Like I've
Well,
always
you were a
said it.
breath of fresh air.
I
you know,
loved
you really
it.
were. Like you simply are. Do you know what I mean?
Thank
You're just
you.
such a beautiful, natural person in every single way.
Oh,
You're
thank
such
you.
an ease to be around.
Thank
And
you.
for that villa, like it was
just
a joy to watch
amazing.
it.
It was just, I know a lot of people don't have great experiences, but for me, it was amazing. Like, what a good start. I'm so glad I done it.
Really?
And bruv went in.
No!
And he went, excuse me, because he's Spanish. He went, excuse me, I got a text. So I'm like, do you know what, bruv, you made it.
Yeah.
Everyone loved bruv for a while as well.
That's too cute.
It was great. But that thing of like love,
Yeah.
for me, my friends have always said I've been like a hopeless romantic. Like I've always wanted that love, that fairy tale, that happily ever after. But I feel like for me, it took me a while to kind of get there. Because I feel like you're always looking for something that you actually don't realise what you deserve. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always had that.
Yeah.
And then I found it, so it's nice.
You found it, Jarrod. Let's talk first about getting pregnant with Santi. Like,
Yes.
what was that like when you found out you were pregnant?
That was... Because it's not so much I was never like planning, but you know what it's like. You're not being careful, are you? Like, you know what you're kind of doing, really.
Yeah.
But that was very overwhelming.
Really?
Like, that was. But it was like, I was excited, but it was also like, oh my God, like I'm going to have a baby. Do you know what I mean? But I had a really good pregnancy with him. But I was also really like, just before Santi, I had like a really early miscarriage.
Right.
Like very early.
Yeah.
But it was still very scary. So when I kind of got pregnant again, I was a bit like, oh my God, like what if this happened? So I was like, constantly having scans, constantly being checked. Yeah.
It's hard. I think pregnancy after loss is really, really hard. And, you know, I don't think it matters when in a pregnancy you miscarry. Like, that really does affect you.
Yeah.
And it takes the innocence and the naivety out of it. You know what that can feel like to lose what you
and it was so like painful. Do you know what I mean? Like that sense of like, I remember having the scan and stuff, and then they're like, oh, it's gone, and then like it was so painful. So then I think it very quickly happened again afterwards. And I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen again. And so I think, and I'm quite a worrier. I worry about everything. Yeah. Like, so for me, it was like, I'm gonna worry this whole time, and I did. But I was very similar with the twins. Like, it's weird. Like when I'm pregnant, I'm always like, oh my God, what could
you've
possibly
talked
go
about
wrong?
your anxiety in the past.
Yes.
So were you worried about getting pregnant and your anxiety, you know, rearing its head and kind of, you know...
Yeah, I think it was more like I like to be in control of things. And like with the pregnancy, you can't really be in control of that, can you? Like, I'm not so much like a health anxious person about me. Like, I don't go to the doctors really about myself. But as soon as it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like with the baby, then I was like, I don't know how many scans I had. Like,
Really?
once a month, I'm just going to go. I used to go on my own sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, I think they knew me very well in there by then. You're right, Danny, go sit down. Like, sick of me.
Talk to me about actually finding out, like taking that test. Did you have any symptoms or anything leading up to it?
Just like real bad, like nausea.
Yeah.
Like nausea and like bloating. But it was quite, I bloat terribly now, like before I'm like coming on my period.
Yeah.
So I had that kind of feeling. And then I kind of obviously missed my period. And I just knew. Like,
Really?
I just felt like I thought I knew. But you don't believe it, do you? And then I took about so many of them. I kept ordering on Amazon as well. My Amazon Drive. I was like, oh, I'm scared to go buy them. So, but it was so special. It was
How did
really
you tell
lovely.
your mum and dad?
I went round the house and sort of told them, and that was exciting. But again, I was also scared to tell them.
Really?
Yeah, because I felt like they was going to be like, oh, like you're a bit young, and not that they was, but you know, you always have that feeling of like, how are they going to be? But they was overjoyed, of course they was, and obviously they knew kind of what happened before, so they was just more happy that, you know, it's fine, we got me through it, and it was nice that I had them.
That's
really.
amazing.
Yeah,
that's really
good.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
and obviously around that time you and Santi's dad split as well, so it must be a really strange thing to go through it in a way that you didn't think you were going to go through it. Do you know what I mean? I think we sort of paint this picture of what the future's going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, especially like before, obviously, like having Santi, I didn't really think. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never really thought. I think since becoming a parent, I feel like you look at everything now. You overanalyze everything. Whereas before, again, like in relationships, I never really thought about the future. I was always very present and very like, this is what I want to do now, and I don't care what anyone says or what the world is saying. Like, and do I regret that? No, but I do wish I had a little bit more of like, where's the future going to be?
Though, isn't it? Because if you regret something, if you were to change any step,
then I wouldn't have had my little boy. So I could never regret anything because Santi has changed me in so many ways. But you have that feeling of you're just so selfless, like you know what I mean. So it was tough because did I ever want to have a broken family? Absolutely not. Like, but I don't think anyone does. Yeah. You can never speak to anyone. They're like, oh yeah, I want to have a broken home. Like, no one wants that. But when you become a mum, like everything changed for me, and my outlet was so different. I was like, no, this is for me and my little boy now. Like, my future is so important for him as well as me, and like what I want him to be around, and not in a toxic relationship environment. So I'm glad. It was very hard. Like, obviously we wasn't together, and a lot happened, and obviously I parented him. Yeah. But I'm glad that in that moment I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. But now I'm like, oh my God, you have to get through the storm for the rainbow and all that vibe. But I believe that a lot now because I had to do what was right for obviously me and him.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. So the thing is, if you go back and just tell yourself it's going to be all
okay.
Right.
Yeah. And I think at the time, you don't know, do you? Like when you're going through like pain and like breakups and like not knowing what's going to happen, loads and loads of people can come over and tell you it's going to be okay, but you're that time is a healer thing, but you're the only person that can get through that time, I think. Yeah. So and I've got my best friends, and I'm so grateful for them. They always get you through like
absolutely.
bottles of wine, lots of chats, and just get you through it, don't they? Really. So I'm glad I had that. Yeah.
How was the rest of your pregnancy?
Fine. Like, it was, to be fair, it was absolutely fine. My birth wasn't, I wanted the natural birth.
Okay. Yeah, talk me through your ideal. What was your ideal?
I wanted to be, not in a bath, in a, what are they?
Birthing pool.
The birthing pool. Yeah. I wanted the birthing pool. Okay. I wanted Ariana in the background, not actually there, but
she's
Ariana Grande.
She's singing.
She's just singing. I wanted lovely music. I wanted the vaginal birth. Yeah. I've always wanted. I did the hypno thing. Yeah. I wanted it. I did find making the noises really weird though. Like in my living room, going like, she used to make me do things. And I got really embarrassed. But I didn't get that. Like it just wasn't. I went into the hospital on the Friday, and then by the Sunday, it just wasn't.
Had things started happening, which is why you went in, or were you overdue?
No, so I was a week early, but whilst I was pregnant, I had like a large cyst on my other side of my womb. Wow, yeah, okay. So it was like growing with.
So were they having to monitor it?
Yeah, because they said if it burst, nothing would happen to the baby, but I would be in severe pain, and then they'd have to. So it was a little bit monitoring the cyst, and then obviously the baby, and then she was like, about inducing me. But then I'm like, I wish I didn't get induced now because it might have been different. But I did get induced, but it just wasn't progressing.
Really?
Like, it just, and when they I remember at the beginning when they put the monitor stuff on you and I was getting contractions, I was like, oh, this is fine.
That early labour.
Sitting there, love it. Bring it on. And then all of a sudden, like them cramps and like that absolute pain. And I was like, give me that epidural now. Give me the epidural. And then it just wasn't progressing. And then with Santi's heart, they was just getting a little bit, like he was getting a bit stressed. And then as soon as she said that, I was like, I'll just have the C-section then. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad I did have that. Do you know what I mean? And then she said with the umbilical cord, the way it was wrapped, it probably wouldn't have ended, it would have ended up being a C-section anyway. But he was fine. He was healthy. I was literally out within 24 hours because it was during that COVID time.
Oh.
But yeah, I really wanted the vaginal birth. And I said it before, like, the beginning because I didn't get it. I hated myself.
Really?
I really, 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 because you always hear that too posh to push thing, and people always have that a C-section is an easy way out, and
it's not. It's major abdominal surgery.
Yeah.
Like, so it's ridiculous that it's got that.
It has got that though, hasn't it? Like, whereas some women I speak to, they're like, oh, I never wanted vaginal birth. I loved my C-section, and I love that women are like that because why do we feel like we have to? Do it vaginally.
But it's also when you've got an idea of what you want it to look like or what it will look like, and then something happens and it takes you in a completely different way.
Absolutely. And that's how I sometimes think birth plans are good, but they're also not, because when it does take a different route, you should have that plan B, and then you're like prepared for it. Yeah. Because you think in your head, why can't I?
Yeah. I gave you a plan. Why aren't we sticking to the plan?
Work. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's that,
that's how
and I think
felt.
so. If I look back to my miscarriage that I had before my first, I felt like my body had failed me. And so many women, when they go into birth and then their birth doesn't happen in the way that they thought it would, they have that same feeling?
Absolutely. And you know, like, beginning, how vulnerable you are when you first have a baby. Like, I mean, some of my friends never were, but I really suffer them first few weeks. Oh my God, I'm emotional.
Really?
I cry and cry and cry. I just can't stop crying. Like, I said, but am I emotional? Yeah, I am quite emotional. But that, it just goes up a notch for me. So I think for me, that's all I was doing. Like, but my mum had C-sections.
Right.
The last two she had C-sections. She was like, Danny's fine. Like, stop beating yourself up. My friends had C-sections. Like, no one around me was feeling I failed.
No,
but
it's the pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah, so much pressure that I couldn't do it.
So what was it like meeting Santi for the first time?
Oh, it was lovely. And I didn't know what he was. It's just the best. That feeling when you meet your baby. It's like that moment, if you could live it like over and over again, it's just so lovely, ain't it? Like, when they're on your chest and the smell of them. And they cry then as soon as they're on you, that they stop. You just know what love is as soon as your baby is there. But I was always like, is he okay? Is he okay? Honestly, you should have seen me. I had like the little bell and I kept ringing like, I think he's cold. But it was. In the end, she was like, oh, I think he is a little bit. Let me go and warm him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was perfect. He was £7. He was born at 9:59. And I remember that. I always get mixed up with him when the twins' birthdays though, because they're the 22nd and he's the 23rd. So like, when I bring up the doctors, I'm like, they're this date. And they're like, it's not. I'm like, I get the years mixed up.
I think that's probably a comfort though, because with my three, I'm like, okay, so and I'm Buzz is 10. I should know his birthday, but I literally have to take a moment and go, it's the 13th of March.
You do know, don't you? You get mixed up with the years. This woman, I think, right, just let me put the phone down and re-ring you. Because I'll get embarrassed myself in the end. I'm an absolute nightmare. But it was lovely. It was my mum like come and lived with me for like a week, like just to help me and things like that. And I remember she come round and stuff, and I was like, I'm just so tired. And she was like, I'll stay up with him all night. And like she loves a baby though, my mum.
Really?
She just loves a baby. So, and then when she left after a week, I rang her and went, you need to come back. She went, you're going to be okay. And I used to stay at her house with Santi like every Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, I used to just want to stay with her.
Was that a comfort to you to have that sort of schedule of kind of like this is something to aim for each week?
Yeah, that I'm going to be with my mum, like me and my mum and dad. Like it was just, I needed to know that they were there, and they literally were around the corner from me. But I just loved having her stay with me, like because I just felt like I don't know what I'm doing. Like
that
you really
feeling of needing your mum.
You do. Like I just cradled her. Do you know what I mean? So now I just have that different level of like the way she supported me so much.
Yeah.
And my mum used to do the food shopping, but she used to buy really random things. Like I'd open my fridge and there'd be like profiterole rolls there. Some sausage rolls and some lettuce. And I'd be like, so what am I making here? Like she used to just like pop down and just get buy me random things. But yeah, she really got me through it.
But those emotions when they hit at the start, they're confusing. And you aren't ready for them.
No, and I think because it is like you just can't stop crying, can you? Like what is that? Like it's so intense, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to cry today. This is nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I always have that for like 3 weeks. And I thought, oh, you know, I didn't think I had postnatal depression or anything like that, but I just felt so emotional.
Yeah.
But I used to just do my daily walks and things like that.
Was that your way of kind of working through it? Yeah,
just kind of getting up, because obviously my children at the beginning, they always, you know, like some babies come home and they sleep.
Yeah.
Like mine never do. They're like up constantly. So I think just you're tired, you're just getting up, having that bit of fresh air, going on a little walk.
How was that first year?
You know what? It was good. It was good and hard, because obviously I was on my own.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was like, it was like I was on my own, and it was so in the media. So I think that was really hard for me, because I was kind of going through my own things and everything was so public. And
especially at a time when you just want to protect your baby.
Yeah, like Santi was my priority. Like no one else mattered. Santi was the only genuine thing that I cared about and wanted to protect. And when you've got all the background noise and people speaking about your life and judging you, and I just wanted to stay like silent throughout it, because I get that people had opinions and people had views, but for me I was like, anything I say is going to be manipulated or twisted, and I'm going to look like a worse person. I just thought I'm just going to concentrate on just being me and my mum and just enjoying being a mum as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So, and I think, but where it was just kind of me and the family that had the baby, I had so much help and so many people around me.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that helped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I always say that first year, you're becoming a mum, you're learning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, oh my God, that change of when they're a newborn and then they're like one. Like, it's just incredible. And he was my little baby boy. Do you have that thing with your baby boys, don't you? So, yeah, it was definitely tough because of everything that was going on around me.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, closed doors, like, I had my, like, safety, like, little blankie. And
that's a lot of stuff to be placing on top of early motherhood.
Yeah, yes.
Which is tough enough.
I mean, I've come out of Love Island like 6 years. I thought
Yeah.
like I'd be better with it, but I'm terrible with it.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know how to
Do you
make
feel like
that
it feels
better.
more personal now? It's hard because you can't, they say like about growing a thick skin. It's really hard to
can't.
grow a thick skin
Look,
when
if
you
I could
feel...
buy some skin,
Yeah.
I would buy it.
Yeah.
I would sell the house for it.
But it's hard, isn't it? But I always think, like with things like that, it's not about you. It's about what that individual is going through on that day.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with
Yeah.
you. And I'm saying this to you, and I could probably be crying tomorrow over something that I read about me. So,
no one could ever. I said to you earlier.
They do. They find stuff, I'm telling you. But it's that thing, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think just trying to kind of go, this is a you thing, it's not a me thing.
know,
I know my life. I know,
what I'm doing.
what I'm
Yeah.
struggling with, how I'm, what I'm prioritising.
Yeah. The twins, I feel a little bit more different with that, but I feel like with Santi, because he was my first, and you just don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
and you've got enough going on, so suddenly there's more noise.
Yeah, and more like people saying things. Especially when it's about your personal life. It's hard, isn't it? Because you're like, I'm dealing with this as it is.
And
I
also,
don't need
look,
it.
talking about you in Love Island, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But talking about me about this, which is,
Raw.
like raw and real in a
Yeah.
very different way.
Yeah.
That's, why?
Yeah, just leave me alone.
Talk to me about Jarrod, because before
Yes.
Sandy's first birthday,
Yes.
you met Jarrod. And then what was that like to meet him and like even dating and stuff with a baby? And, how was that?
Yeah, so, Jarrod was my neighbour.
No!
Yes.
How did I not know this?
Yeah, so, I've never really spoke about it. Never gone into depth. So, I moved into the house I was in with Santi, and he was only a few months old.
Right.
And I remember, like, in the neighbourhood, people were like, because it was like a really small cute little neighbourhood. I love that house. And people were like, Jarrod Bowen lives next door. But I didn't follow football at the time, just wasn't interested in football. And then he like knocked on my door a couple of times because like my parcels went there.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I opened the door.
I said, no, Mum, as well. God, no.
Hair in do you know what it's like? Slick back up hair.
It's
like,
liquid grease because you've not washed it for a week.
do you get it? Like, and I opened the door and I didn't know this is Jarrod Bowen, right? And he was hot. Blue eyes, blonde hair, very like bit of me. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, and then there was like a few times I'd see him and
You suddenly start getting ready in the morning just in case you bump into me.
because I used to know when he was leaving for football because I knew his cargo, and then he was like reverse out, and then I'd be like,
Suddenly you've got to put the bins out.
There was once I looked okay because I had like a shoot that day,
Right.
and I remember walking like back round, and then I put the key in the door and he come out, and I thought, I know I look good today, it's fine. We'll take that one. And then he moved. So then he like said, "Oh, have you got a meter reading key once?
Okay.
A meter reading key for your gas or
Sounds
something."
sexy, Dani.
Very sexy. But did not think nothing of it. And I said,
Yeah.
no, I don't. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm moving house, like blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, well, good luck with everything, like." See, like, get on with your life. And then on my birthday...
Get on with your life.
I'm here, I'm a mum. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
but that's the thing, right?
you don't think... You look at yourself, I'm a mum. Like, I'm nothing else, I'm just a mum. And then, he messaged me on my birthday.
Right.
Like, happy birthday.
Slide into your DMs?
DMs.
Right, nice.
And I just went, like, thank you, like, blah, blah. Then we started chatting, and from that day, we never stopped speaking. But when he first messaged me, I thought, listen, he's very fit. I don't mind having a little bit of fun with you, but I'm a mum now. Like, you're a footballer. You can go have your Gigi Hadids. Like, I'm happy to have a bit of fun with you if that's what you want. You know what I mean? You're the first guy I'll probably have had with a six-pack. I'm happy. Do you know what I mean?
It's ticked off my list.
It's ticked off my list. We're done. Like, perfect. And I think because I was so chilled, it just becomes something more. Because I remember when we first started dating, I didn't want to date out in the world because I just didn't know how it was going to be. I was you know, new
like
mum.
the noise you said before.
The
as
noise,
well,
and you don't really know how it's going to be perceived.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, listen, you can come over, but you have to come round at 7:30 because my little boy goes to bed.
Yeah.
So he used to come over, and then like, we'd have a chat, cook a bit of dinner together, like get to know one another.
Yeah.
And then it used to get to about 10:30. I think, oh, come on, like I'm going to be up at 6 probably. Like, you know what I mean? You need to go home.
Do you think having that other thing to focus on, you know,
Yeah.
kind of made you? No, I feel like as young women, sometimes we've been made into these desperate beings that kind of like, I need you to want me.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, when you're like, God, can you actually go?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like,
this is fun now.
Yeah. But you're going to have to go home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I used to send him home, like, at the beginning. I was like, you can go home. But after, like, 3-4 dates, he still hadn't kissed me. And I was like, right, come on now.
It's not friend zoning
right, let's
you.
put a film on and let's just, I'm going to have to kiss you at some point.
Just slowly start touching his hand.
Yeah, like, how are we going to do this? And then, yeah, and I remember it got to that stage where I thought, like, we never really spoke about Santi.
Yeah.
I obviously knew I had a son, but it was always a very taboo subject for me.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I just said to him, listen, I've got a child. Like, I don't really know what you're seeing this as. Like, I'm happy to have some fun.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, like, that really doesn't bother me. Like, I'm more than happy to, like, you know, meet your son whenever you're ready. Like, he was really chill. And for me, I was like, why? Why do you want that? Like, in your head, you're like, you haven't got a child.
Yeah.
You're very fit. Like, you're at a really high point in your career. Why do you want to take on a single mum? Like, why do you want to do that? But there are men that do want to do that. But for me, I just didn't believe it. So for ages, I was a bit shit, to be honest. I was a bit like, no. Like, I was a bit like, you know, you can turn right or you can turn left. Go left. Don't go right. Don't know why I kept doing that to him. And then in the end, I was getting to a point where my mum and dad were like, listen, Dan, like, you're going to end up losing him. Stop it. Like, he wants to take you and Santi on. He's more than happy to do that. So just appreciate that and be happy that he wants to. And he was. I can't fault him. Like, he loved Santi like his own. Like, still, like, he adores Santi. And I was really lucky with that. Like, because I know that's not everyone's journey. But for me, just he was so happy. But to me,
that must
like,
have felt like such a massive thing, though, to have someone you're dating meet your tiny little love of your life.
Yeah,
you know?
I sobbed. I was like, I felt so guilty. Like,
really?
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, but Santi don't know. I mean, he was like 10 months and he's sitting there and he's rocking. You know when they just sit on them baby bounces dribbling all day?
Yeah.
Like, Santi didn't have a clue. Do you know what I mean? It was more a moment for Jarrod.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time he was like, can I pick him up? I was like, yeah. Like,
how did that feel for you?
Weird. So weird. So strange. But I didn't. I was like, is this the right thing that I'm doing?
Yeah.
Like, but I remember for me, I was like, how does his family feel? I remember thinking that, like, do they want him to take on like someone else's, you know, baby? And later on, I found out that Jarrod's mum used to vote for me and Jack to win Love Island.
That's brilliant.
And when I was like single, she went, she actually said to Jarrod, you should try and get with Danny. So she manifested us. So I was happy that the mum was happy. Because you do worry about the mum, don't you? Like, oh God, like she might not want that for a son. And you feel like you're like a criminal or something. Like, all you have is just got a baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you had that guilt. But yeah, that was scary. And then I remember he was like, can I give him a bottle? So he just was so happy to take him on. Yeah. Which was really special. And that's when I just kind of thought, oh, this guy's the one. Like,
did you start having those thoughts before meeting Jarrod of kind of like, you know, how am I going to date? What is that going to look like?
It did not enter my brain. Like, dating, absolutely not. Yeah. Did not want anyone. Why would I? Do you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't feel that. So I don't know if that's why it worked. Yeah. Because I wasn't looking for it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, when he messaged me, I thought, all right. But I never thought we'd be together. Yeah. No way. So I think that's what it was. It was so organic. It was just so like, it just happened and it was so easy.
And when did you did you start talking about having more kids?
So after because it was only like a year. Yeah. It was very much like, he was like, I think because we were so in that like baby world anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, it isn't as simple as it is before you have kids. Yeah. Like, we was doing the parenting stuff anyway. I was like, would you want any more children? And I was like, yeah, I think I would, to be fair. We was always kind of being careful. And then, but to be honest, with the twins, I got pregnant so quickly. Really? So quickly. Like, and I never thought it would obviously be twins, but he was very much like, do you wanna? And we was very fortunate that we kind of...
I love that. Do you wanna?
Yeah. And I remember I hadn't seen him for 3 weeks because he was, I don't know what I was feeding him at England camp. All very good vitamins by the looks of it. Because, yeah, literally.
Came back with super sperm.
Must have done. Must have. And then I was pregnant.
And how did you feel this time round? You know, can you remember where you were when you did your test, or you know, was he around?
Yeah, so I wish I filmed it. I was still in my coat when I told him. So I remember his nan and granddad had come down because they live like further out.
Yeah.
And they was down, and I remember I was at the gym and I was running, and my heart was so stupid. My heart rate monitor kept going like in the red zone, and I felt really funny. And I was like, I've got to leave the class.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that well, so I was like, I might just buy a pregnancy test. Like, let's just see if I'm pregnant. And I genuinely just took the test, and then it come up because I literally wasn't. I took the test on the Wednesday, and I weren't due to have my period on the Friday, so it was like one of them early tests.
Yeah.
So I come home and then I see the line and I was like, oh my God, shit. Instead of me going, like, just take a moment, like film it, make it special, buy the baby grows that everyone does, I literally went, Jarrod, like that. And he went, and his nan and granddad were in the kitchen. He went, yeah. And then he come in and I went, I've got something to tell you. And he thought I was telling him I was cheating on him. I think because I was white as a sheet. Like, and he walked in and went, what? I went, I'm pregnant. And he went, what do you mean? When? Like, I didn't tell him I was going to take the test. There was nothing. Like, I was sweating and cold at the same time. And he went, when? I went, look. And he went, are you sure? And I was like, well, I don't know. So then you take the other one. I was trying to be like really coy and fine with the whole situation.
Were you really being discreet with his grandparents there as well?
They're sitting there eating crumpets in the kitchen. And there's me shaking in the bedroom. Like, what do I do? Like, I mean, you know what you're doing, but it was just so quick.
So how many tests do you think you did that time?
Oh, my God, loads. I must have done about 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah. Because and you know what it was as well? Because I took it 2 days early, I was like, before even my period, I was like, why? I don't even know why I did that. I should have waited. Do you know what I mean? But I just felt like I know.
But especially if you were feeling symptoms, something wasn't quite right.
Yeah,
so you're right to kind of, you know, have a little maybe it's that.
Yeah, but obviously people that are pregnant with twins, because usually it doubles because the line was strong. Usually if you take a pregnancy test and you get a little faint line and then it progresses, but mine were like strong.
Were there jokes of, oh, maybe it's twins?
My mum has always wanted me to have twins.
Because if there's twins in the family.
Yes, but she always wanted me to have twins. And then my best friend had twins. We was pregnant at the same time with twins.
Yeah, and you gave birth on the same day? This blows my mind.
Yeah, so weird.
Like friends since 11? Is that right?
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
It was weird. It's so weird. Like, so she found out obviously before that she was having twins, and then I found out because I went for an early scan as I do.
Yeah.
And the woman just said that because the cramping I was having, like, I remember I was on a shoot and I was like about 7-8 weeks and I was like, I'm in agony. Like, this is not working. Like, you know, that period pain, like the cramping was so intense.
Which also early day, you really worry.
I must be miscarrying because the pain was, oh my God, excruciating. So then I went for like an early scan and the woman sort of scanned. Again, it was so early. She was like, no, it all seems placed. You know, they have to look for the sac and stuff. She's like, that's all absolutely fine. Like, obviously, you can't get a heartbeat that early. She was like, but just chill out. Like, you look, the pregnancy looks like it's progressing.
Yeah.
So I was like, fine. And then the pain eased a little bit. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to leave it a few more weeks. And that's when I took Jarrod because I was absolutely petrified. And that's when the woman was like, have you had your scan already? And I said, yeah. And she went, oh, that's lovely because it's a twin pregnancy. And then that's when I went, that's exactly your face. That's exactly me. Like, I was like, and I went, it ain't. I went, I've been already. And Jarrod was like, and then she faced the screen to us and it was 2 babies. Like, it was incredible.
Oh.
Yes, that was at 11 weeks. Yeah, because usually you'd find out at 7, 8, but for some reason she might, because it was a very early scan. They can be missed.
Yeah.
Twins can be missed.
Well, and the heartbeat probably maybe
they're kind of not really. They're tiny little dots, aren't they? That have like a little flickery thing. Yeah. They kind of just look like the sperm, don't they, basically? Little crumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they grow so much.
Yeah.
So at 11 weeks there they were, just like 2 little aliens.
I mean, what was that moment like?
Oh, we laughed all day.
Did you?
Like, that moment, like, we just giggled and giggled. But I don't know if that was just out of nerve.
Shock.
Like, shock. Like, we went out, he was like, let's go for a bit of lunch. And we sat in like a little cafe and had some lunch. And we just kept laughing. Like, but we just felt so like in love that day.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh my God, we're going to have twins.
What was your mum's reaction?
She went, well, I knew it. I I knew it. My dad was away in Australia at the time. He was filming something, and the time difference wasn't the best. And I remember just like sending him the picture, and I was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant with twins." And then he sent me this voice note that was like, "What? Like, we're gonna get through this, baby. We're gonna get through." It was because we was all so shocked.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, finds out you're pregnant is like incredible. When it's like twins, you're like, oh my God, what do I do?
Especially having had one and knowing what that's like.
Yes,
to
twins.
then kind of go, well, is it double that?
Yeah,
you know,
completely different pregnancy. Like you had to have scans every 2 weeks.
Right.
Like to obviously check because they were identical twins.
Yeah.
They shared they shared the same placenta.
Yeah.
So we have to be like really careful of like one twin, growing and taking something from the other twin. And so that was it was great for me because I love a scan.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks I was always on time. But I was just sitting there just waiting, and so that was. I was glad I had that like extra kind of support really, but God, it was just like.
What was that pregnancy like?
Hard. The first few months was like okay because like the bump was I was big very quickly.
Yeah.
Like my jeans from like 9 weeks. I remember like trying to put my jeans on. I was like, I'm only 9 weeks pregnant. Like, why am I so like this? Like, and I remember at Jarrod's when we were sort of still back. I weren't living with Jarrod as much then, because I was trying to figure out my house because that was new. And then I remember being around there and I was early pregnant and didn't know it was twins. And I was like, I didn't feel like this before. I didn't. Like I was much better than this. Couldn't fold my towels up and I was so emotional. And I remember our cleaner, Anne at the time, she come over, she went, "Are you all right?" I went, "I'm pregnant. I don't feel great at all." And she was
I can't fold a towel.
I can't do anything. And I thought, damn, what? And that's obviously, it must have been the twin thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Everything was so heightened. But the second trimester, I love.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like you're out of that. I mean, obviously, I know a lot of people ain't, but for me, I was like, out of that, like feeling sick. So I felt so sick. And then, God, I was hungry.
Really?
The second trimester, but the third, God, I couldn't bend down. If something fell on the floor, it weren't.
Yeah, that
getting picked
feeling
up.
must have happened very quickly.
Yeah, I was big. I was like, it was so heavy. I had to get them bands at the time, like the waist. Like,
to
like
kind of help lift it.
Oh, they were great.
Really?
It really, really helped. Like my hips, because my hips, I felt like they were like crumbling, that feeling. Oh. So the bump was massive.
Well, and also this time you'd have a toddler.
Yeah. Oh, there. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, because I feel like with your first pregnancy, you can lay around a lot, can't you? And like snooze in and out. But when you got the toddler, that was difficult. I'm not going to lie, that was difficult with him. Because that even still feels like a blur, to be honest.
Do you feel like Santi understood that you were pregnant?
At the beginning, he used to like touch my belly and be like, "Oh, baby," but no, I don't think. Even when they got here, like he was 2 in the January, and obviously they come in the May, so he was newly 2.
Yeah,
and then I remember
we had 3 under 3. That's almost 3 under 2.
Babe, do you know what I mean? I remember being like, "What am I? How am I going to do this?" How like that was the reality of like, how am I going to? I remember like coming downstairs in the morning and like holding the twins in my arm, and he went, "Can I have a juice, Mummy?" And I went, "I don't think you can. I don't think you can have a juice." Like, breathe a minute, put them down. Like I was like, I need I would, if I could have any superpower, it would be loads of arms. That would be amazing.
Oh.
So the pregnancy the end was hard for just like picking things up, and I couldn't pick him up. At all, Santi, because it just was so hard. Like it was, but it was really good, to be honest. Like,
that's good.
And obviously, I had like my mum around the corner and things like that, and like everyone helped out in the family. Like Jarrod's family would come and help me.
And you found out this time that you were having girls?
Yes. Oh, I know. Yeah. Again, we literally, because we was going to do the whole pop the balloon thing. I'm so shit at surprises. Like when someone cuts the cake. And there's no memories of that, because we literally got in the taxi and we was going to do that. Like we was like, right, let's take it to a bakery and like do the whole cut the cake thing. And Jarrod went, "I can't wait. Can you?" I went, "Nah." So we was in the back of the cab, and he opened the envelope and went, "It's girls, ain't it? It's girls."
Which is also a moment in itself, though, isn't it? I think sometimes we get so, with the Instagram reveals or whatever, you feel like you have to look another way, but actually it's a memory, no matter if you find out in the back of a taxi or when they arrive.
Yeah, we was just in a cab.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I'm glad they were girls. I was like, oh, my little girls. Like, I know, it was great.
And did your mum and dad love the fact that they were girls?
Yes, but my dad loves having girls.
Really?
Yeah, like he loves having Artie.
Yeah.
But I think where I was the girl first.
Yeah.
And then Sonny was a girl. Then you have to become like a boy dad. It's different, ain't it?
Yeah.
Like so different. But no, they was happy.
And how did you feel heading towards the birth?
Because I always said when I got pregnant again, I was like, I'm going to try and have a vaginal birth. Because it was twins, I was like, no way. And I was like, I'm not even risking this. Like, it's a bit scary anyway with twins. Yeah. But the birth was great.
Well, did it feel different this time? Kind of having the, the other bits that happened before with Santi not there, kind of just knowing that you're going in, the babies are going to arrive.
Yeah. It was. Jarrod was more nervous than me. Like, he doesn't like needles or anything. Yeah. Like, he hates them. So I remember, like, he was absolutely fine, like, towards the build up and stuff, like, didn't really think nothing of it. But then on the day, bless him, he was shaking. Like, when he got his little unit, like, he got the hat and all that on, and then, like, we went down, and then he, like, went out to have the needle in my back. He couldn't even look. Like, he couldn't even look. But he was so nervous. Like, I've never.
But you're also going to a whole new a whole new way of being together, a whole new chapter.
Yeah, like, this is like a moment, isn't it? But where it was all so planned, it was really beautiful. Yeah. Like, sort of wheeled in, and then, like, it had the music on, and they was all so lovely at the hospital.
Did you have Ariana?
No, do you know what? Right, my mum. I was a bit crap with my playlist. The babies come out to Rocky Balboa. What's that? I'm trying to think of what this. I'll have to have a think. But yeah, so the twins come out to that. But Jarrod, I've never seen him cry. I see him. He was sobbing. Oh my God! Like, my mum filmed the birth actually, which was really nice. When the twins come out. So yeah, it was amazing. It was scary because I remember, like, it being twins, and they had to come out by 37 weeks. They have to get them out. Like, quite early. Yeah. So I was a bit like, are they going to need NICU time? Like, how are they going to be? But I remember when Summer come out first, and then they put, like, the little oxygen on her. But all you want to hear is that cry, don't you? Like, all you're waiting for. As soon as they cry, it's like you breathe. I was like, right, that's one. And then, like, I obviously had to wait for Star. And then she was 2 minutes later, and she was tiny, so tiny compared to Summer. Like, she was dinky. And then that was fine. And then they was like, we just need to keep them here for a little bit just to see how they are. But they was fine. They was, but it was hard. That's what I mean. At the time, Kaylee's waters broke just that little bit too early. Right. So that was really hard because hers needed that NICU time, and then mine didn't. So that was such a bittersweet.
I mean, I can't believe that you both went into labour, like, you both had your babies on the same day.
Well, because hers weren't booked in until a couple of weeks after mine. So that was a bit of a hard moment. Yeah. We didn't see each other for a good month.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously she was a little bit backwards and forwards, and I was never going to be like, come and meet my babies when, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what you're doing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was lovely that we had each other through that. But yeah, I had a really lovely experience.
And talk to me about names.
Yes, so
they all begin with S.
Yeah, that was never planned. I'm not trying to be the Kardashian.
I've got to say, with Buzz and Buddy, so I've got Buzz Buddy and Max. Oh. I still get Buzz and Buddy confused so much that Max had to be something different.
It's too much. Buzz Buddy, I love them names. Yeah, no, because you went for Buzz and Buddy, then was like Max.
He's a Maxwell. So Maxwell is Tom's nan's maiden name was Maxwell. So that's where that comes from.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, see, my names, I can't even say. Well, Santi, everyone found his name because his name's Santiago, but my granddad, bruv, is Spanish. So that's what I liked that name. And I was like, oh, but he's Santi. Yeah. Unless he's being naughty, he's Santiago.
So he goes, I'm not. He goes,
Maxwell. Maxwell. He's like, my name's Santi. Well, okay. So twin one, it was pretty simple because it was two girls. Yeah. Jarrod was like, well, I've always wanted the name Summer, and I always wanted the name Star.
Really?
Like, literally from a child. I was like, because I watched The Lost Boys, and there's vampires in it. And she was called Star. Aww. And I remember being like, I have to have a star. But then I was really unsure because I like the name Luna as well. Like Summer and Luna. Luna's the moon. And Star, I was like, when I look at it, I think, oh, you could have been a Luna. I don't know. But I should have maybe done it as the middle name. But yeah, so Summer he always wanted. So it was easy. He was like, twin one is Summer, twin two is Star. Because whenever we had the scans, Summer was always like absolutely fine. Yeah. But then Star, she was fine. They just had to be a little bit more because she was that bit smaller. Yeah. And they always had to check on her a little one. He was like, yeah, twin two's the naughty one, she's yours. And twin one's mine because she's perfect. But twin two, who's Star, loves Jarrod.
Really?
Like, she loves him. Like, no, like as soon as he walks through the door, she's like, Dad! Like, she adores him, whereas Summer's more for me. Yeah. That's weird.
So funny. They choose
who they want to be closer with. Yeah, because Summer adore, it's funny how they take turns. But no one, I know she's going to be a daddy's girl. Wrap round the finger.
But you know how that feels like. So that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fun.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was it like having two tiny babies?
That was again, because I'd done the first time mum thing, but being a first time mum to twins
with a toddler,
with a toddler was hard. Like really, and I felt so guilty on Santi.
Really,
and you know when people say, "Oh, when you before you go to the hospital, you should always cuddle your firstborn," because they feel so big. Oh my God, I couldn't believe how. And Santi's little, like he's tiny. I couldn't believe how big he felt. I was like, oh my God, my child. Like, he's not my baby anymore. And I thought because it was 2, it was a lot on him. But he was none the wiser. Like he used to go, my baby, and he still calls him his baby. Where's my twins? Where's my babies? Like, I think when I was little, I kept going, there's your babies. So he's obviously took it on. He was fine. It was more me.
Yeah.
I'd look at him and be like, oh my God, I'm a terrible mum. What I've done to him. Like, I felt so bad.
There is a moment, I think, where you suddenly realise that you have changed
their lives.
Yeah, you've changed it.
And it's a lot for him. Like, he was 2. I think if someone would have said, Dan, you're going to have twins, I might have waited 2 more years.
Really?
Yeah, for him. So then he would have had just that couple more years because he's had to take quite a lot on. Do you know what I mean? Like being like 2 and having twins and, you know, kind of going between 2 different families. Like he had to take quite a lot on.
My dad said to me once, I remember it so clearly, he said to me, with Buzz, the eldest, he was like, you've just got to remember that he might be the oldest, but he's still a child.
Yeah, that's
that thing of they're still little.
Yeah,
you know, they do carry so much responsibility being the eldest sibling. But actually, if those other 2 weren't there, they'll
still be your baby.
Yeah.
I see something like that before, and it was a little bit like, you know how they're always the one that has to wait.
Yeah.
You know, they're the old one. You're like, wait for your sister.
Always got to give.
Wait.
You know, you've always got to you've always got to compromise.
Yeah, like they're always at the bath last. They're always after dinner. And I was like, actually, no, you have to sometimes go, all right, if you want to get out first, you can. You want your dinner before. I'd really took that on. But no, you forget that they're still your baby. But they become so adult. Yeah. Like they become so much bigger.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, he's none the wiser. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, with the twins, and I think Star dropped down to like 4 pounds. Like she just kept, because I was breastfeeding the pair of them. Like I was.
How was that?
Well, oh my God, so my milk was great, to be honest, a lot better than with Sans, but trying to breastfeed them both at the same time, oh my God, that was hard. Like, really? I tried every single angle. And Summer loved my boob.
Right.
If it would have just been Summer, she'd have probably been breastfed forever. Like, she loved it. Star hated it.
Really?
Bear it. Just would not latch, just didn't.
Oh, do you reckon that's maybe because she was smaller?
Maybe. Like, and they kept, the midwife come around, and then it got to the point where she was like, she's just losing a bit too much weight. Like, she was like, and they were very, Star was more jaundiced than Summer. Like, they were so jaundiced. And then that gets a little bit dangerous then, don't they? Yeah. So then I was like, do you know what? I'll give her some formula. Like, let me just try and see if that can change it a little bit. And it actually did. Yeah. So I did a little bit of the combination feeding, and I just needed her to put on a bit of weight. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't want her to go back in the hospital. No. Because you worry so much, don't you?
Well, then as well, it's that thing of keeping you all together. Yeah. You know, and actually that feeling of being totally split. Yeah. Yeah. And I was pumping because obviously I wanted them to see how much I was having. Yeah. It's okay when they're like a fine weight, you haven't really got to worry. But when they're under, you're like, oh shit, this is like a big responsibility then, ain't it? And I just wanted to up it. Mm-hmm. And then she was fine. Then she was fine with it. So yeah, it was all right. So how has life been? Manic. Okay. Manic. Like literally, like I say, like because me and Kaylee go out together a lot. There's only one calf we end up in, and that's the M&S calf, because nowhere else takes us. We come along with our buggies, and we need the high chairs. And like I remember she said to me for my birthday, she went, "Should go out for birthday breakfast?" I went, "Yeah, all right then." 6 kids. She went, "Yeah, we'll all go out." We didn't speak once. We didn't speak. But one of them don't want to be in the high chair. Santi didn't like the pancakes that day. Meadow didn't want the oven shit. So it was just all like, this is chaos, happy birthday. They were walking down the high road, like we have to walk in front of each other because the buggies are so big. So yeah, that first year was like so learning, but I'm so glad I had her. Really? Because I would ring her and be like, I've had a really bad night, and then she'd ring me and be like, oh, this is bad. Like we really got each other through it, because twins, like, and when you meet twin mums, oh my God, it's like you just want to hug them. Really? And I remember, like, I come in with the twins. I went to Gals, and then there was this other, I think she was like the nan, and the twins were sitting there. They must have been like 5, 6, and they were girls. And she just come over to me. She went, "Are you okay?" And I went, yeah. She was like, honestly, it gets better and better and better. Oh. She was like, "You're going to love it. Like, I'm their nan." And she was like, and they had their little tutus on. And like, it was so comforting, because like, you know, when you're like, oh, actually, it will get better. Because like that beginning newborn stage is brutal. Yeah. So whenever I see like a twin mum, I'm like, are you okay? Like, I think it's so important to go over and say something nice.
Yeah, like, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Because it's like having the hands and like just popping out is such a pain in the arse. You know,
Really?
like, if you're like, oh, one of them's playing up, let me just give them a bottle, or let me pick one up. If you've got two of them crying, both need to feed, both needs changing, then popping out's become
There must
crap,
have been times where that's felt really overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and because it is the two-ness of it all, do you know what I mean? And like them little quick, like Santi, take him out of the car seat, do the little attachment. We'd walk around own bargains. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with the twins, I was like, you're ruining my own bargains trip.
Which also, though, you know, we can't dismiss the fact that home bargains trip might be your one outing that day.
And you love them days. Like, you need them days. Do you know what I mean? Just to do your little errands and grab yourself a coffee.
And things changed over the summer.
Yeah, I ain't got my ring on because it was too big.
Oh, I've got mine off because of why have I got a Copperfield trek? That's why I've still not got mine on because of that trek. Engagement rings. We waited so long for them, and now we've got them. We're like, meh.
It was getting a bit. It felt fine during the summer, but I feel like your fingers are bigger in the summer.
Yeah.
It's
feeling a bit loose.
It was feeling a bit like swinging. It was annoying me, and I thought I don't want this to be annoying. But it was a lovely summer. Honestly, it was so hard because he was gone for so long. It was at the Euros.
And how is that as a mum? You know, having that, because obviously he's there when he's there, but then when he's got something like the Euros, you must also want him to be able to focus on that.
Absolutely.
Because I think sometimes as a mum, I know that I have, even if Thompson off on tour, I've been like, God, you know, this part time. Oh, I've cried all night.
I can't do it.
Whereas if they're off playing for
they're
England,
having a great time.
Yeah, but is there a part of you that goes, I can't tell him how difficult this evening has been, or are you like, no, I'm gonna?
I think before a game, I never would.
Yeah.
Like before a game, I would never be like this, blah blah blah, or ever stress him out. I mean, I did the other week because we had a mouse, but that's a different story. But never anything too much. But it's so hard to not hide it in it because he's when he's away a lot, he's always wants to FaceTime and he's always like there. But that was the longest he'd been gone because he went like end of May. He went training and then like he was obviously gone for 6 weeks, I think it was something like that. Wow. And they're gone. And I remember, you would fly out there to the game and then I'd see him afterwards for like 20 minutes. But it was such a tease. Like, it was like you'd see him, cuddle him, and I'd miss him more. And I'd think, I'd rather just not see you. But obviously I wanted to go and support him and you know what I mean? So that was great. But you just miss having him there, don't you? Like having that adult there, having a bit of dinner with him. Like, it was really, really tough. And he loves being away, like he does, because he loves playing football and playing for his country. But I think he does also. He loves that family, like he really does. Because a lot of footballers have kids really young as well.
Yeah,
like,
they do
start
actually,
real young.
Yeah.
Like they have that like foundation really young. So it was nice. But oh God, I missed him. So then I remember him saying he's like, we'll go away, just me and him for a few days, and then a week later we went away with the kids. And he was like, we'll go to Ibiza. And oh my God, it was just beautiful. And I remember a few people were like, do you think he'll propose? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, then I asked my mum and dad, I was like, do you think he's going to propose? And obviously they knew. And my mum was like, don't ruin it. Like, don't think that. Like, if he does that. And I was like, no, it's just because people automatically, as soon as you go away as a couple, people are like, oh,
it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
But then I thought, I don't know with Jarrod. Like, he's terrible with surprises. Like, before I open up my Christmas present, I know what it is. Like, he gets so excited. Like, he loves it. So when obviously we went out there and stuff, it was really lovely, and it was just me and him. We've never not done that since the twins, and I thought I was really going to miss them. Like, I genuinely thought I'm going to like cry every day, but I loved it. Where it was literally I hadn't been like with him, like, and we hadn't had that time together. Like, oh my God, I was waking up at 10, having me breakfast in the morning. Like, I was milking it. I loved it. And then we went on a boat, and that morning, like, he put a shirt on and stuff.
Right.
So I was a bit like, okay,
aftershave.
you putting the shirt on. Nice. And then I'd like a little dress on, and it was just special, like because like when we was on the boat and stuff, it was a bit like I thought if this is going to happen, it will happen now. But then as we got off the boat, he just got down on one knee, but the boat was rocking.
Just rocking.
Yeah, I knew he was ended up in the sea. To be honest, like, it was all like he was like I chose a day to do it. It's
like
so
a whole
lovely
new chapter
that
for
day.
you all.
Oh, it's so mad because I never thought any of that would happen.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, you're like, oh my God, like this is it. Do you know what I mean? Like we're actually doing this.
How does it feel to look back over the last 4 years and to see, you know, what's happened and where you are now?
I always say, like, my life before was always like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, I loved the thrill and the rides and all that. Whereas now I'm on the lazy river. Do you know what I mean?
And happily so.
Like, I'm happy.
Got pina colada in your hand.
She's
just
happy,
enjoying it.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm enjoying it. Like, and I never thought 4 years ago it would be that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was always on the edge.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, you know, I think if you've got that lovely family at home, like, you can get through anything. Do you know what I mean? And I'm so grateful to have that. Like, finally met the one, and the kids are great. Yeah. It's hard, but it's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Like,
totally get what you mean.
It is incredible.
If you could write a letter on motherhood, who would it be to, and what would you say?
It would probably be to myself, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it would genuinely just be like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to get through, you know, them hard times, but you're going to get to the happy part at the end, and like, just make sure you've got that right unit around you, and probably just to continue to what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? I think, don't beat yourself up. You know, there's going to be a lot out there, you know, a lot of opinions, a lot of, you know, everyone's doing what they want to do, you know, follow what you want to do, you know what's best, and stop being so bloody hard on yourself. I've put that in capital letters.
Really?
Stop being so hard on yourself.
10 exclamation marks.
It would be to myself, but it's also like, you're smashing it. Do you know what I mean? Because we are. And I feel like, you know, you can read all the books, you can go online, but only you know what's right. Do you know what I mean? I think I've definitely now stopped doing that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes all those opinions can actually confuse you.
Yeah. It's like, do what you want to do, enjoy it, you know, go through it, go through the wave, go through the emotions. It's going to be very up and down, but you've got this.
Danny, we end the podcast with you completing 3 sentences.
Yeah.
The first one is being a mum means.
Emotional? You're going to be very emotional. But it means you have that unconditional love.
Since having children,
I'm less selfish. Can you say I'm less selfish? Yeah. And more self-aware.
Oh, nice.
Definitely.
And I'm happy when?
I'm happy when...
I feel like when I ask this question, sometimes people are going, do I want the kids awake or asleep?
That's what I'm going to say. I don't know what the right answer is. Because I'm happy when I'm with my friends drinking a lovely bottle of rosé.
That's okay.
But then I am happy when I'm at home eating a roast dinner with the kids with Miss Rachel on in the background. Do you know, it depends what day you've got me, babe.
Yeah. Danny, thank you so much. This has been like a pure joy. Like, it's been so lovely to chat to you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.